They called it the giver's curse, the psychological pattern Jung discovered in his rarest patients. These individuals possessed an almost supernatural ability to understand others, to heal others, to transform others, but they were slowly dying inside. INFJ, INFP, INTJ, INTP, four types that carry the weight of the world's emotional evolution on their shoulders. If you've ever felt like you're pouring from an empty cup, like your empathy is both your greatest gift and your heaviest burden, Jung found the answer. And it starts with a turning point most people never see coming. Hit subscribe and like this video first, because understanding this could literally save your life. Carl Gustav Jung spent decades studying what he called the wounded healers, those rare individuals who seem to absorb the world's pain and transform it into wisdom. In his private notes, he wrote about patients who exhibited an almost mystical ability to see through facades, to understand the unspoken, to carry others' burdens as if they were their own. These weren't just sensitive people. These were the psychological architects of human evolution, the ones who felt everything so deeply that they became living bridges between consciousness and the unconscious realm. Jung identified four specific psychological types that embodied this sacred suffering. The INFJ mystic, who sees patterns others miss, but carries the weight of collective pain. The INFP healer, who loves so purely they forget to love themselves. The INTJ visionary, who sees the future so clearly they sacrifice their present. And the INTP philosopher, who understands truth so deeply they become isolated by their own insights. What connects these four types isn't just their rarity, it's their unconscious compulsion to give more than they receive, to heal more than they're healed, to understand more than they're understood. But here's what Jung discovered that changes everything. This suffering isn't random. It's not a flaw in their design. It's the very mechanism through which human consciousness evolves. These types don't just feel deeply, they feel on behalf of humanity itself. They're the emotional and intellectual pioneers, the ones who venture into the darkest territories of the human psyche and return with maps for the rest of us. Think about it this way. Every INFJ who stays up all night listening to a friend's problems, every INFP who gives their last dollar to someone in need, every INTJ who works tirelessly on a vision no one else understands, every INTP who shares their discoveries freely while remaining unrecognized, they're not just being kind. They're participating in something much larger. They're the universe's way of upgrading human consciousness, one interaction at a time. But this gift comes with a price that Jung called the sacrifice of the ego. These types often lose themselves in their giving. They become so attuned to others' needs that they forget their own exist. They develop what Jung termed psychological anemia, a condition where they're spiritually and emotionally depleted because they've given away pieces of their soul without knowing how to replenish them. Let me tell you about Sarah, an INFJ therapist who came to understand this pattern in her own life. For years, she'd been the person everyone called in crisis. Friends, family, even strangers seemed to gravitate toward her with their deepest problems. She had an uncanny ability to see exactly what people needed to hear, to offer the precise insight that would shift their perspective. But Sarah was exhausted. She'd gained weight, lost sleep, and felt like she was disappearing into everyone else's story. Then she discovered Jung's concept of the wounded healer. She realized that her compulsion to fix others wasn't just kindness. It was an unconscious attempt to heal her own deepest wound, the feeling that she was only valuable when she was useful to others. Her giving wasn't pure love. It was love contaminated with the need to be needed. And this realization became her turning point. Or consider Marcus, an INTP researcher who spent years sharing his groundbreaking discoveries freely, watching others profit from his insights while he remained in obscurity. He told himself he didn't care about recognition, that truth was its own reward. But deep down, he was slowly dying from the loneliness of being perpetually misunderstood. His intellectual gifts had become a prison, separating him from genuine human connection. The turning point Jung identified isn't about stopping the giving. It's about understanding why you give. When these rare types realize that their compulsion to heal others often stems from their own unhealed wounds, everything shifts. They begin to see that their greatest service to humanity isn't self-sacrifice, it's self-integration. This connects directly to Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming whole. For these rare types, individuation requires learning to give to themselves with the same intensity they give to others. It means recognizing that their sensitivity isn't a burden to be managed, but a superpower to be channeled consciously. Modern neuroscience validates Jung's observations in fascinating ways. Research shows that people with high empathic abilities, particularly those matching INFJ, INFP, INTJ, and INTP cognitive patterns, have hyperactive mirror neuron systems. They literally feel others' emotions as if they were their own. Their brains are wired for collective consciousness, but they're living in a world that demands individual survival. Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive persons confirms that these individuals process sensory information more deeply, notice subtleties others miss, and become overstimulated more easily. What looks like weakness is actually enhanced processing power. They're not broken. They're operating with upgraded emotional and intellectual hardware in a world designed for basic models. But here's the crucial insight Jung offered. This enhanced sensitivity comes with an evolutionary purpose. These types are humanity's early warning system, the canaries in the coal mine of collective consciousness. When they suffer, it's often because they're feeling problems the rest of society hasn't recognized yet. When they give compulsively, they're trying to heal wounds that exist not just in individuals, but in the collective psyche itself. Now, let's explore the hidden turning point Jung discovered. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself as a lighthouse. For years, you've been shining your light outward, guiding ships safely to shore, never asking for anything in return. You've become so focused on illuminating the path for others that you've forgotten to tend to your own flame. You're burning out, growing dimmer, but you keep shining because you believe that's your purpose. But what if I told you that a lighthouse that burns out serves no one? What if your greatest gift to the world isn't your willingness to sacrifice yourself, but your commitment to keeping your own light burning brightly? The turning point comes when you realize that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't guide others if your own light has gone out. This is the paradox Jung identified. These rare types must learn to be selfish in order to be truly selfless. They must learn to say no in order to make their yes meaningful. They must learn to receive in order to give authentically. The turning point isn't a single moment. It's a process of awakening to your own worth. It starts when you stop asking, "How can I help?" and start asking, "What do I need?" It deepens when you realize that your value doesn't depend on your usefulness to others. It culminates when you understand that taking care of yourself isn't taking away from others. It's modeling what healthy self-love looks like. Here are 5 practical steps to navigate this turning point. First, practice the oxygen mask principle. Just like on an airplane, you must secure your own oxygen mask before helping others. This means meeting your basic needs, sleep, nutrition, boundaries, before extending yourself to others. Make this non-negotiable. Second, develop what Jung called conscious suffering. Instead of automatically absorbing others' pain, pause and ask, "Is this mine to carry?" Learn to feel compassion without taking on responsibility for others' healing. You can witness someone's pain without making it your mission to fix it. Third, create sacred boundaries around your energy. Designate specific times and spaces for giving, and protect time for receiving. This might mean scheduling regular therapy for yourself, setting limits on how many crisis calls you'll take per week, or simply saying, "I need to think about that," instead of immediately saying yes to requests. Fourth, practice receiving with the same intentionality you bring to giving. Ask for help, accept compliments, let others care for you. This will feel uncomfortable at first because your identity has been built around being the giver, but receiving is a skill that must be developed. Fifth, reframe your sensitivity as a superpower that requires conscious management. You wouldn't drive a Ferrari like a pickup truck, and you can't manage a highly sensitive nervous system like an average one. Honor your need for quiet, for processing time, for beauty and meaning in your environment. The beautiful truth Jung discovered is that when these rare types learn to give to themselves first, their giving to others becomes infinitely more powerful. They stop giving from depletion and start giving from overflow. They stop rescuing and start empowering. They stop sacrificing and start serving from a place of wholeness. Your sensitivity isn't a curse. It's humanity's gift to itself. Your depth isn't a burden, it's the foundation for genuine transformation. Your compulsion to give isn't weakness, it's love, learning to express itself consciously. The world needs your gifts, but it needs them flowing from a well-tended source, not from a depleted reservoir. As Jung wrote in his Red Book, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For the rare types who suffer from giving too much, becoming who you truly are means learning to give to yourself with the same devotion you've always given to others. It means recognizing that your healing is not separate from the world's healing. It's the very foundation of it. The turning point isn't about becoming less caring or less giving. It's about becoming more conscious about how and why you care and give. It's about transforming from a wounded healer into a healed healer. From someone who saves others while drowning themselves into someone who teaches others to swim by modeling what it looks like to stay afloat. If this message resonates with your soul, if you recognize yourself in these words, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below with your own turning point story, and remember to subscribe because content like this, content that sees you, understands you, and offers you a path forward, is rare, just like you. Your healing matters, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch. The world is waiting for you to shine your light from a place of fullness, not emptiness. The turning point starts now.